Today is March 26, 2026. Welcome back to Now My Go channel. The AI world is absolutely packed with big moves, from Google squeezing huge models into tiny memory footprints, to OpenAI shutting down Sora, to new laws that could literally halt data centers, plus Apple's next-gen Siri, AI police drones, and the future of the global chip race. Let's dive into today's AI roundup. First up, a huge breakthrough in AI efficiency from Google. This news comes from Ars Technica AI and was released on March 25, 2026. The article is titled, Google's TurboQuant AI-compression algorithm can reduce LLM memory usage by 6x. TurboQuant is Google's new AI compression algorithm, and the headline number is wild. It can cut large language model memory usage by up to 6 times, without noticeably hurting output quality. That's a big deal, because most compression or quantization techniques make models cheaper to run, but you pay for it in worse answers or weird artifacts. According to Ars Technica, TurboQuant is designed to keep model quality essentially the same while slashing the memory footprint. That means you can run bigger models on smaller hardware or run the same model at much lower cost. It also implies better on-device AI on phones, laptops, or edge devices, and cheaper cloud inference for companies. Keep TurboQuant in mind, because this theme of doing more with less pops up again when we talk chips and infrastructure later. Next, a dramatic strategic shift from one of the biggest players in AI. This news comes from Wired's Artificial Intelligence section and was released on March 25, 2026. The article is titled, OpenAI enters its focus era by killing Sora. Wired reports that OpenAI is shutting down Sora, its high-profile text-to-video model product, as the company eyes a potential IPO. Instead of pushing Sora as a standalone product, OpenAI is apparently focusing on a unified AI assistant and stronger enterprise coding tools. So what does that mean? Basically, OpenAI seems to be streamlining fewer flashy side projects, more focus on one do-everything assistant that can handle chat, search, coding, maybe even video, all in one place. And for enterprise customers, deeper integration into coding workflows, think Copilot-style experiences, but powered by OpenAI's stack. The timing matters. As Wired notes, this comes while OpenAI is positioning itself for public markets. Investors tend to like focus and predictable revenue, so a single powerful assistant and robust enterprise tools may look more attractive than a bunch of experimental apps. So on one side, Google is making models cheaper and more efficient. On the other, OpenAI is trimming its product tree to double down on core assistants and dev tools. That leads us straight into the question, what happens when AI growth runs into physical and political limits? Our next story is all about that. This news also comes from Wired's Artificial Intelligence section and was released on March 25, 2026. The article is titled, New Bernie Sanders AI Safety Bill Would Halt Data Center Construction. Wired reports that U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders has introduced a new AI safety bill that would place a moratorium on building new data centers. The idea, according to Sanders, is to pause long enough for lawmakers to ensure that AI is safe. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is expected to introduce a similar bill in the House in the coming weeks. If this gains traction, it could massively affect the AI industry. Data centers are the backbone of training and running large models. A moratorium would slow down expansion of AI capacity in the US, impacting big players like OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Meta, and more. The bill is framed around AI safety, but there are also underlying concerns about energy use, environmental impact, labor, and how concentrated AI power is becoming. We've got Google trying to make models leaner with TurboQuant, while lawmakers are considering literally putting a cap on how much compute infrastructure can be built. So we're seeing tension between technical scaling and political, social, and environmental limits. While that's playing out, NVIDIA is painting a picture of how the AI ecosystem itself is evolving. This news comes from the NVIDIA blog and was released on March 25th, 2026. The article is titled, "The Future of AI is Open and Proprietary." NVIDIA argues that AI is quickly becoming core business infrastructure. Basically, every company, every country, every application is going to be AI-powered. To support that, they say we need a diverse ecosystem of models, large and small, open and proprietary, generalist and specialist. The key point from NVIDIA's blog is that there isn't going to be one model to rule them all. Instead, we'll see a mix. Open models that anyone can inspect, fine-tune, and deploy. Proprietary models from big labs and vendors with heavy optimization and support. General-purpose assistants, like the ones OpenAI is betting on. And specialized models for things like medical imaging, chip design, or legal analysis. This ties directly back to both Google's TurboQuant and OpenAI's strategy. Compression techniques like TurboQuant make it easier to deploy many different models at different scales. And OpenAI's move toward a unified assistant is them staking a claim on the generalist side of this ecosystem, while others build specialized tools or open alternatives. But AI isn't just models and theory, it's also about the data those models are trained on. That brings us to GitHub and developer tools. This news comes from the GitHub blog and was released on March 25th, 2026. The article is titled, "Updates to GitHub Copilot Interaction Data Usage Policy." GitHub announced that starting April 24th, interaction data from Copilot Free, Pro, and Pro Plus users, that means your prompts, outputs, code snippets, and contexts, will be used to train and improve their AI models by default, unless you opt out. So if you're using GitHub Copilot, your coding interactions will feed back into the system to make it better. That can accelerate improvements, especially in niche languages or frameworks, but it also raises privacy and IP questions. Who owns the code snippets? Are they sensitive? How is this data stored and anonymized? GitHub is giving users the ability to opt out, but the default is now, yes, your data is used. This touches the same trust and governance issues we saw with the Sanders Bill. How do we balance rapid AI improvement with safety, privacy, and control for users? Now let's move from code to the physical world, where AI is literally taking flight. This news comes from Ars Technica AI and was released on March 25th, 2026. The article is titled, "BRINC's New Police Drone Uses Starlink, Carries Narcan, Chases Vehicles at 60 miles per hour." Ars Technica reports that BRINC has unveiled a new police and emergency response drone called Guardian, which the company is calling the most capable 911 response drone ever. Key features. It uses Starlink for connectivity, meaning it can stay online over wide areas. It can carry Narcan, allowing it to respond to opioid overdoses quickly. It can chase vehicles at up to 60 miles per hour, which is fast enough to track many cars in real time. This is a concrete example of AI and robotics being deployed into public safety. On the positive side, a drone that can bring Narcan quickly to an overdose scene or give real-time situational awareness in emergencies could save lives. On the other side, a high-speed, networked police drone raises serious questions about surveillance, civil liberties, and how autonomously these systems might act in the future. So again, we're seeing this pattern. AI capabilities racing ahead and society scrambling to figure out the rules. Speaking of infrastructure and race, let's zoom out to the global chip industry. This news comes from the South China Morning Post's China Tech section and was released on March 25th, 2026. The article is titled Semicon China AI, Advanced Packaging Set to Drive Country's Chip Industry Growth. Our source list includes this story twice with the same details, so we'll cover the substance once here. According to the South China Morning Post, at Semicon China, the world's largest chip industry trade show, experts highlighted that agentic AI and advanced packaging technologies will be key growth drivers for China's chip industry over the next few years. The report says China's share of global wafer fabrication capacity for mainstream processes is expected to reach about 42% by 2028, possibly nearing half of the world's total. That's a rapid expansion, especially under ongoing export controls and geopolitical tensions. Agentic AI refers to systems that can plan, act, and coordinate more autonomously, which often need specialized hardware and efficient packaging. Advanced packaging lets multiple chips and chiplets be stacked and interconnected more tightly, improving performance and efficiency without always needing the absolute bleeding-edge manufacturing nodes. So while some US lawmakers are considering slowing down data center growth, China is doubling down on manufacturing capacity and the hardware side of AI. Combine that with things like Google's TurboQuant, and you get a picture of an AI future that's not just about smarter algorithms, but also about who controls the factories, the packaging tech, and the physical supply chain. Next, let's talk about Apple and a major potential change in how we interact with AI on our devices. This news comes from Unwire HK, a Hong Kong tech news outlet, and was released on March 25th, 2026. The article is titled in Chinese, with rumors that Apple plans a standalone Siri app integrating dynamic island and cross-app task completion. According to Unwire, HK reports suggest that Apple is planning to launch a standalone Siri app, likely alongside iOS 27 and macOS 27, which are expected to be unveiled at WWDC 2026 on June 9th. The rumor changes. Siri would become a dedicated app, not just a voice overlay. It would integrate more deeply with the dynamic island on iPhones. Most importantly, it would be able to complete tasks across multiple apps, so truly cross-app agent-like behavior. This sounds very much in line with the broader trend toward agentic assistance. Not just answering questions, but taking actions, coordinating between apps, and handling multi-step tasks for you. It also echoes NVIDIA's point about every application being powered by AI and OpenAI's pivot toward a unified assistant. If Apple delivers a significantly upgraded, more autonomous Siri, that would intensify competition with Google's assistants and OpenAI-powered tools, especially on the consumer device side. Now, let's shift briefly into the developer and performance world with a more technical but very relevant topic. This news comes from Dev Community and was released on March 25th, 2026. The article is titled, When Handling Large Lists, What Actually Slows Things Down? The number of elements we render, or when we choose to load more. In this Dev Community post, the author digs into front-end performance when dealing with large lists, like feeds or search results. The conclusion is that both factors matter, but they're separate problems. Virtual scroll is about how many elements you render at once. It keeps the DOM lean by only rendering what's visible or near visible, no matter how large the total dataset is. Intersection Observer is about when you trigger work, like loading more items when the user scrolls near the bottom. So Virtual Scroll manages how much you render, and Intersection Observer manages when you do extra work. Together, they keep apps smooth even with huge datasets. Why does this matter in an AI news roundup? Because AI-powered apps increasingly deal with large, dynamic content, think AI-generated feeds, massive result lists, or real-time dashboards. Efficient rendering and smart loading are critical for making these AI experiences usable. It also mirrors what we saw with TurboQuant. Efficiency isn't just about model size. It's about every layer of the stack, from chips to browsers. Finally, our source list repeats the same Semicon China article a second time with identical title and link. We've already covered its main points. China's push toward nearly half of global mainstream chip capacity by 2028, driven by agentic AI and advanced packaging. Putting all of this together. At the model level, Google's TurboQuant, reported by Ars Technica AI, points to a future where massive LLMs can run on much smaller hardware with up to 6x less memory. At the product level, OpenAI, via Wired AI's reporting, is shutting down Sora to focus on a unified assistant and enterprise coding tools, while Apple, via Unwire HK, is rumored to be turning Siri into a standalone cross-app AI agent. At the ecosystem level, NVIDIA's blog emphasizes a mixed future of open and proprietary, large and small, generalist and specialist models, not a single winner. At the data and trust level, GitHub's policy update shows that user interaction data is increasingly being fed back into AI training by default, raising new questions about consent and privacy. At the physical and regulatory level, BRINC's AI-enabled Guardian drone, covered by Ars Technica AI, shows AI moving deeper into emergency response and policing, while Senator Sanders' AI safety bill, reported by Wired AI, could halt data center growth in the US. Meanwhile, South China Morning Post coverage of Semicon China shows China racing ahead on chip capacity and advanced packaging. And at the developer experience level, Dev Community's article reminds us that even as AI grows more powerful, performance and UX tricks like Virtual Scroll and Intersection Observer are still crucial for delivering smooth, real-world AI applications. If you want to read more, check out the original articles from Ars Technica AI for TurboQuant and the BRINC Guardian drone, Wired Artificial Intelligence for OpenAI Sora decision, and the Bernie Sanders AI safety bill. The NVIDIA blog for their take on open versus proprietary AI, the GitHub blog for the Copilot interaction data policy changes, South China Morning Post China Tech section for Semicon China, Unwire.hk for the latest rumors on Apple's standalone Siri App, and DEV Community for the deep dive on large list performance with Virtual Scroll and Intersection Observer. That's it for today's AI News Roundup for March 26, 2026. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next AI update, and let me know in the comments. Which of these stories do you think will have the biggest long-term impact? Model compression, regulatory pauses, China's chip push, or the new wave of AI assistance? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.